In studio with me right now, President of American Bank of Commerce. It's James Arnold. James, welcome back to the show. How are you?
Good, Chad. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Appreciate you coming in today. And we've got a lot to talk about. The last time that we spoke, we were wrapping up 2016, and we can kind of touch on that just a little bit. How was 2016 for the Lubbock economy overall? Big picture.
Big picture overall, it was probably one of the best years economically Lubbock's seen. We saw expansion of our market of about 3%, and so for Lubbock, that's really, really good. When you kind of break it down a little bit, the one negative was retail sales. We were off about 1.5, 1.7% on retail sales, and I think that what we're seeing there is when you drill down into that, that's the Amazon effect. I think you're seeing more and more consumers shopping online, free shipping, and those kind of things. And I think retailers are seeing an impact. We saw that today with JCPenney announcing they're closing 100 stores, I think, and laying off people and offering early retirement incentives. And so, retail is under siege right now with the internet, with Amazon.
And you've got to think that that's only going to grow as when we every year when they predict how many shoppers will do Black Friday or Cyber Monday online. Every year it seems to grow by about 20% or more.
Right.
And it's going to happen again this year because, if you do have Amazon, and nothing against the big box stores or the little box stores, but you can get something delivered sometimes within a day.
Well, particularly in rural Texas, rather than folks from Idalou, Rawls, Crosbyton having to drive into Lubbock to go to Walmart to get their groceries, they can go on Amazon and they can have it delivered to their door.
Yeah.
And so it's changing how retail is delivering their goods and services, and the internet continues to kind of drive retailers to the internet. So, but other than that, home permits, were up about 34% last year.
Wow.
Number of homes sold were up about 4%. So the key thing to watch there is, are they having to lower price to move product? And the home prices were up 10%. So we're seeing a growth in inventory, a growth in pricing, and growth in volume. So homes are moving through the system like they're supposed to. And we just continue to see Lubbock grow from a housing perspective and multifamily. So,
is this something, because you've been watching this for so many years, and that the housing boom that we're seeing, have you been surprised by the numbers and the continued growth year after year after year?
Well, this year particularly, if you look at a 20, 30, and even 40-year average, Lubbock averages around 720 to 760 home permits a year, new home permits. That goes back 30 years, and that's kind of the average range. Last year we did over 1,000. So the numbers are just, for Lubbock, they're shocking in terms of, the growth in housing. And it's built on Texas Tech. The medical center continues to expand. And now we're at a critical mass in terms of population where other small businesses are now locating into Lubbock, whether it's franchise businesses, other retail, restaurants. I mean, how many restaurants did we open in 2016? A bunch of them.
Yeah.
So Lubbock's doing really, really well right now.
Hotel-wise, last year seemed to be just a huge year for the number of hotels that started to be built, completed. I mean, they were going up all over the place, and it looks like it's going to continue into this year, right?
Yeah, hotels are interesting. That's a big momentum. It's like a big ship in the ocean. It takes a while for it to turn. You can't just turn off hotel construction, and so we've got probably 6 under construction right now in this market, and probably 6 more on the drawing board, and probably 3 in the city getting permitted. So there's a lot of hotels coming online in the next 18 months. But if Lubbock continues to produce numbers like we saw in 2016, we'll fill those rooms.
How does and that's something that I know the city, they've been talking about a possible downtown hotel. And one thing that we've brought up here on the show is, if you're in the hotel business, you're making some money, and you're doing well here in Lubbock, Texas, because and it surprises a lot of people. These hotels stay maybe not 100% full, but to where they're making money throughout the week.
A lot of hotel guys are friends of mine in this market. They joke and they said, if we could just get rid of Sunday night, our occupancy rates Saturday, Monday night to Saturday night are in the 90s. And so
it's amazing.
Sunday night's their low night, but it's incredible. And it's a mix of of a population that are using those hotel rooms. There's a weekend crowd for youth sports and Texas Tech, and then there's the business crowd during the week. And so it really seems to it's working well for hoteliers in Lubbock.
Yeah, there was a story that came out, I want to say it was earlier this week, one of the news stations, and they were talking about the number of restaurants in Lubbock, and is Lubbock becoming too saturated as far as restaurants go? My answer is probably not. I think we're still going to see a boom of restaurants, and it's going to pull some people, from one restaurant to another. That's been the restaurant business for years. When I was in high school and waited tables in high school, when a new restaurant opened, guess what? We all went to that new restaurant. I mean, that's just it's the nature of the business. Is there a point where you think Lubbock becomes too saturated, or is that even possible?
Of course, it's possible. I think the guys that are in that business can kind of measure and gauge when it's good to open one and when it's not. I think what we're seeing is Lubbock's an eating out town. I mean, that's what people do for entertainment for one reason. Two, lifestyle dictates that we don't have time to go home and prepare a meal. We got two parents working. We've got to get Johnny to basketball practice. Sarah's got volleyball or whatever. There's not time in the evening to sit down and do that. So lifestyle dictates a lot of people eating out just based on that. So I think you'll continue to see that trend grow. It may not grow at the pace that it did in 16, but I still think you'll see restaurants coming online as we continue to grow and add people to our community.
How's the world of agriculture doing?
It's doing okay. We were really benefited by that's Indian summer we had in September and October, where we had, it was 85 degrees, 60 days in a row, it seemed like. And so that really gave producers a chance to catch up from a rough summer. And they caught up very well. We ended it wasn't a great year agriculture-wise, but it was a pretty good year for producers. And they're optimistic with the rain we've had in December and early January going into this season.
What is the unemployment rate, around 3.2 or so?
3.4 is what we ended the year. We're probably 3.4, 3.5 right now. 4% is considered fully employed.
Okay.
And so we're fully employed. If someone wants to work, there's work in Lubbock.
How does, and I don't know if you have the numbers right in front of you, but just from what you know, how does that compare to other areas here in West Texas, whether it be Amarillo, Midland, San Angelo? How do we compare?
Historically, if you look at the data going back 5 or 6 years, taking out Midland, Odessa, because they're either at the top when it's really good in terms of unemployment, or they're at the bottom, and they're at the bottom right now. But when you look at Amarillo, Lubbock, San Angelo, Abilene, they're always consistently in the top 10 in terms of unemployment.
Auto sales, that's always a big indication of how the economy is doing, right?
Yeah, we ended the year flat a little bit on auto sales. December was a good month, but overall for 16, a little flat in auto sales. But I think that's a product of that Midland, Odessa demand pulling out because of the price of oil. We were kind of artificially inflated with people. There wasn't any inventory in the Permian Basin, so they came up here. We benefited from that for about 6 or 7 years. 16, we saw that the impact of that with them pulling out. But we're in note season right now. For used car dealers, this is note season because everybody's getting their tax return and they're getting their refunds back, and they're going straight to the car lot to buy the next car. So it's a good time to be a car dealer in Lubbock right now.
When we come back, we're going to talk more about the economy and also what the Trump administration may do as far as regulations on banks and how that may affect you. We'll also find out if there's anything state lawmakers may do that may impact the local economy here in Lubbock and throughout West Texas with the president of American Bank of Commerce, ABC Bank, James Arnold. Log on to their website, theabcbank.com. We'll be right back. All right, Chad Hasty Show, News Talk 95.1 FM, 790 AM KFYO. We have James Arnold, the president of ABC Bank, in studio. James, as you know, there were some folks from Lubbock who went down to Austin for Lubbock Day down at the Capitol. What are some things that lawmakers may or may not do in this session that you being either, whether you're taking a look at banking or whether you're taking a look just at the economy here in Lubbock and in West Texas, decisions made down in Austin that could have an impact here?
Well, I think what you're going to see is Austin's going to become more and more pro-business, and that's what we're about, the free enterprise system. And with free enterprise, you've got winners and losers, and so that's one thing we like to see in our legislature, whether it's on the state level or national level, is let the free markets work. And so I think you'll see a continued relaxation of regulations hopefully on the federal level. We know we're going to see that on the state level. How do they fund public school finance? That's going to be an issue for those guys. Medicare, Medicaid. I mean, there's a lot of things built into that budget that they really don't have a lot of ability to pull levers and make a difference. But there is some that they can. They're going to fix CPS. All that does for local economies is just strengthen them and give the local economies the ability to stand on their own 2 feet. So that's what we want to see on a local level. On a federal level, banks are really optimistic that we're going to get some federal tax relief on corporate tax. You know, banks pay about 30% of our income in tax. Our competitors, local credit unions, are tax exempt. They don't pay income tax. So we still compete for the same consumer for their business.
Right.
So it's an unfair advantage for banks to go in there and have a 30%, we're behind already when we start. So just some leveling of the playing field for banks and credit unions and other entities corporate-wise from a tax perspective will be good. Capital gain tax, we'd like to see some of that relief. And then how much capital a bank has to keep in-house to be considered a well-capitalized bank. If we can lower that number from, this regulatory burden that Obama put on everybody, it'll help community banks do what they're supposed to do, which was invest in their community and get their community strong again.
I think the last time we had you in, it was either right before or the day of the announcement of of interest rate hike. How has that had an impact on you guys? Have we seen a major impact? And do you think we're going to see more rate hikes throughout this year? I would think they had predicted that there might be, but we haven't seen one yet.
Well, I think the first question, have we seen an impact? Not really. I think the market and the economy has been waiting so long for this. We're gonna hit the interest rates. We're gonna move rates. For 12 months they were saying that, so they finally did it, and everybody was like, okay, we've already built that into our budgets. I think you'll see another rate hike in the next 30 days, probably another quarter point, as long as they take measured steps and bump it, 25 basis points, quarter point. I think you'll see that we can absorb that in the economy and kind of continue to grow. It's when they hit it at 50 or a whole point, and that's when it really shocks the economy. 25 hitting at 25 points isn't going to really have that big of an impact, but it'll affect consumers and what they pay for car rates and what they pay for consumer loans, and so it bears watching. But I don't think it'll have really a dramatic impact if we hit it one more time.
When we take a look at this administration versus the last administration, and when people feel confident about spending money, and what we're talking about today with the economy. The economy is looking good when people feel confident, and you have confidence in the economy, confidence in you yourself making money, your family bringing in money. Have we seen, Wall Street, with the Dow, they've seen an increase in that enthusiasm level and that confidence. Are individuals seeing that, here in West Texas, you think?
I think so, Chad. I think, but not only just because the market's up and what they see about, the Trump administration cutting taxes and those kind of things, but our producers, out in the field had a good year. They've got a good moisture. They're optimistic about the price. And so that ag is a big part of our economy. And to have those guys be optimistic going into a planting season, I think reverberates through our economy. Texas Tech's growing. Texas Tech continues to have success academically. That breeds some confidence. So all of our major industries in Lubbock right now are hitting on all cylinders. Covenant's expanding. UMC's having a good year. So when you look at where the jobs are, that breeds confidence, and I think that's what we're seeing in terms of our local economy.
Would you say that is ag still the dominant driver here, or is it broken up so much that there may not be one true dominant driver of the economy?
Yeah, I think 30 years ago it'd be absolutely ag dominates. I think today with what we've got going on at basically 19th and Memphis, where you got Covenant, UMC, and the Health Sciences Center, Texas Tech's the dominant one if you had to pick one. But I think they're all three pretty equal and consistent and important in terms of ag, education, and medical. One doesn't dominate the other, but boy, where would we be without Texas Tech?
Yeah. For Lubbock to continue to have great growth this year, good economy this year, what needs to happen?
I think just slow and steady wins the race. I think, not jumping out too far, not taking a whole lot of undue risk, seeing our, home permits being issued match demand and not run out there and do another 1,000 when we're only selling 600. So keeping inventories in check on that. Unemployment's big, keeping it below 4 or below 6, really. And, watching the price of oil, watching the price of cotton. Commodities are big here. So, we've got diversification, but we've got stability, which really helps us.
Yeah. Visiting with James Arnold, president of ABC Bank. And, James, one thing you and I were talking about during the break, and there was this an article that came out, is the future of manufacturing, the future of business, basically everything being taken over by robots. And, I think they predicted as much as 20% of the workforce being affected by artificial intelligence and robots. And you brought up, we could see that even in the ag community with tractors, right?
Sure, and there's some stuff being tested in Europe, self-driving tractors, and so technology and automation is industry agnostic. It doesn't matter whether it's ag or it's education or it's medical. We've got robotic surgeries going on in Lubbock today. So I think what we rely on is our public school system and our universities to educate and train and prepare our kids for what the next 20 years look like. And I think by and large, our public school system around the state of Texas does an excellent job preparing kids for the future, preparing kids to go to college so they can know what to do with self-driving tractors or robotic surgeries. I think our kids are going to be equipped to handle the next economy.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see what happens even within the next 10 years. Tell folks what's going on over at American Bank of Commerce, some of the things that they need to check out over at ABC Bank.
Well, we're continuing to upgrade our technology and evolve with, speaking of technology, automation with, online banking, and our mobile platform continues to really garner a lot of success and a lot of praise. And, we're out in the economy right now. Our loan demand in Lubbock is unprecedented, whether it's small business, real estate. It's really, we're benefiting from the growth in the Lubbock economy. And as Lubbock and Wolfforth kind of grow together, that's going to benefit us. And we're just continuing to meet demand and serve customers.
Well, I know the security of accounts is, it's a main focus for y'all. You want to make sure everyone's account is secured. What are some of the things that y'all have done to, as far as the chips and the debit cards, all of that, that's what, the future is moving towards, to make sure, everyone's account's safe. What have y'all done over at ABC Bank to make sure it is?
Well, we were the first bank in town to have the chip technology. And so that really, when you look at the potential for fraud, whether it's you as a consumer or ABC Bank, that probably cut that dramatically, more than in half in terms of potential for fraud. So, but criminals are smart and they'll figure out a way to make that one, to infiltrate that. But right now we've got that locked down pretty well. And we continue to try to be out front and ahead of where we're going on a security basis. But, biometric authentication, rather than having passwords, our goal was in the next 7 years is we get away from passwords and it's biosecurity. So whether it's a thumbprint, a scan of your eye, something like that is continue to make it more difficult for fraud to intervene.
Yeah, very neat. James, tell folks where they can get more information about American Bank of Commerce.
Well, go to our website, theabcbank.com is the best place for information. We're rolling out soon an online account opening feature where you can open your account anywhere in the world and bank with ABC Bank.
Very cool. James, thanks for stopping by.
Thank you, Chad.